Welcome back to the Ascension Series. Today, I'm going to be answering one great question that I had actually. So, Bree's been collecting all of the questions in the comments. So, thank you for those. It gives me direction of how I can be of service. One of the questions was, and I love the way this was worded, how do we release deep trauma, suppressed or blocked trauma without going into all of the bullshit, love, light, quote unicorn farts, um, because there's been a lot of attempts, right? So yeah, let's jump into it. It's so multi-layered. Healing your inner child and your trauma is obviously essential. And the reason it is, so I teach all of this in the program. There is a program, the Inner Child Healing Program. It's $27, not a big purchase. But if you take your time going through those modules, there's a lot of amazing content in there, and it's not fluffy. It's not love and light. It is uncomfortable. Going into those past pieces can be a little bit uncomfortable. It can be triggering. So I teach you how to navigate that through that program. But let's talk to that really deep suppress for those of us that have tried a lot of inner child work. So as you guys know my story, there's a lot of deep trauma, a lot, so much so that my body held on to that trauma and it created a permanent experience of a very intense autoimmune disorder that has almost put me in my grave a few times. But now I've healed all of that. So it's very minute. It's only when I'm triggered that I'll experience that. So I don't own it. We don't own anything. We don't own the trauma. We don't own the conditions from the trauma. We experience them. And that's the body's way of saying, I need help. I need some love. I need some nurturing. We need to look at this. We want to heal this piece and change the vibration. Now, the deep, deep stuff is going to create a belief structure in your subconscious. Your subconscious is 95% of your thought. You're completely unaware of what's going on. And this is the tricky part with releasing deep trauma is figuring out what is the actual belief attached to it. Your belief, there's 5 steps to creation. Your belief creates an emotion. That's your emotional body. That creates a frequency, that creates your perception, that creates your reality, your outcome. The emotional body is the governing body to the physical body. So the emotional body is telling the physical body what to do, what to become, how to behave. So if you have food intolerances, if you have the experience of autoimmune conditions or pain points or chronic pain or chronic fatigue or insomnia or um, back pain, these are all the emotional body imprinted a belief structure that is telling the physical body how to behave. Because the emotional blockage or the emotional trigger point, we'll call it, because it's not a blockage, it's just something that wants to be transmuted. So the trigger point, the trauma point in the subconscious will create a physical reality if unhealed, if undealt with. So you can kind of navigate from there. So, what in your body, where in your body are you experiencing discomfort? That's going to give you a hint of what do I want to heal? What is my subconscious desire to heal? Your ego self and your soul, what most of you call that, I don't call it that anymore. It's the isness, the consciousness of all that is. So these two things are not in harmony until we train them to be in harmony. The ego self will denote and tell story or replay memories or become triggered in the opportunity to discover what is the subconscious and the isness asking to transmute. So you've got these 2 operating mechanisms in the body. Your isness, your soul, your consciousness wants to experience itself in the physical. It is in creation mode. If your ego is untrained, you won't get to where you want to go. So we've got to work on healing the ego, loving the ego, not shunning the ego. It's not something to be rejected. There's no such thing as ego death. That's bullshit. So stop following those people on TikTok right away. It's not going to get you anywhere. And I know because I did it the hard way. You want to merge these 2 operating mechanisms so that the isness can speak through the ego so that you can go, oh, that's what I can do in order to be more high vibration, to be more of an intentional creator in my reality. Now, the isness, the soul energy, can't get through that ego if the ego is in denial or has suppressed issues, triggers, pain, trauma, right? So we really want to dive into how do we restructure that? How do we find it? How do we restructure it or transmute the vibration of it? So, a little bit of a burst here. You are not releasing anything. It's not like there's this like little marble in you of like, oh, mommy issues. And you go, okay, poof, gone. Doesn't work like that. You transmute the vibration of it. You rewrite the perception or the story of it. When we rewrite that, we change the outcome because it changes the vibration. So it's like an ice cube being melted and turning into warm water. You're transmuting it. You're not taking the ice cube out and throwing it out and putting something else in. So it's not a releasing process. There's lots of people who talk about releasing. There's lots of techniques and modalities for releasing emotion or energy that's stored. That's all great. That's awesome. But you're not releasing your trauma, you're transmuting it. So there's stuff on the surface. So let me start with I haven't really pre-planned this conversation, so I'm just going to go with like what I know and what's going to surface through this. Your inner child healing is healing your emotional body. That's from the age 8-ish and under is where we establish our belief structure and then we start to operate off of that vibration, that perception. So what you want to do in order to discover it, unless you already know what the pinpoint trauma is, and you're like, so I'll use my example. I was a 16-year-old boy decided to fully take advantage of my 4-year-old body. Big trauma point. Okay. So I don't want to use words because I'm getting notifications that I'm going into Facebook jail soon. So, all right. So you get the point, right? So that's a heavy trauma point, and I can remember that very, very vividly. So in order for me to transmute that, which I did, I had to go into what did that little girl believe about that act, the act of intimacy? What did she believe about what men do to women? What did she believe about was her body something that was just stolen and taken? What was her relationship with her body? I had to go into course correcting all of those belief structures and rewriting them and telling her the new story and then demonstrating that story for her. We want to look at, so if you know the exact thing, we want to figure out how did we define that? How did we perceive that? So my inner child perceived it as everyone thinks that it's my fault because there's a whole story attached to this. It happened. The mother knew that it happened, told me that I was possessed by the devil, and that's why it happened to me, and that she could no longer be my caregiver. And then when my caregiver came to pick me up, I remember the two of them conversing, and my babysitter, the mother of the son, was like, this one's possessed by the devil. She's rotten. She's evil. I can't have her in my house. This is an unruly child. And didn't explain what had happened, just had projected onto me. So then my caregiver was like, why are you such an asshole brat? Blah, 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 blah. So I had perceived this entire situation as men lurk and steal, and it's going to happen whether you want it to or not. So you better, in my teens, I transformed that into my late teens, my early 20s. I transformed that as super vulnerable, transform that into they're going to do it anyways. I might as well be the one in control. I'm going to initiate, I'm going to dominate it, I'm going to control it, I'm going to prowl it, and it's going to go how I want it to go. So I became very controlling, very powerful in the bedroom. That was how I compensated for that until I healed that piece. I also believed that from that experience, women will project unnecessary lies and therefore manipulate my outcome. So I did not trust women. I thought that women were malicious and evil and manipulating. So then I didn't trust women as an adult because of that entire situation. I obviously it ruined my foundation of safety. I'm not safe unless I'm constantly on alert, which made me an over communicator, let me tell you. Oh my goodness. So it created these trauma responses, we'll call it. It created this way I functioned in the world in order to protect myself. So when I went into that child and I rewrote that story, and you get to choose which perception you want out of this. Shitty things are happening in the world, obviously, right? So what I chose and what served me was, baby girl, it's so much deeper than this, but the surface, baby girl, you understand exactly what's wrong with humanity firsthand. That is going to make you a powerful leader in being of service to course correcting humanity. You are a powerhouse and you are safe. And I will protect you moving forward. It will never happen again. So pause that part. There is a way to use quantum entanglement, which I teach in the program Fully Awaken and Ascend. It's in level 2 of that, where we talk about the entanglement of quantum reality and our reality. Like, not that's not the right terminology, but you know what I mean? Like the exchange of how the quantum realm works with our vibration. And I speak specifically to this example actually in that program. So you can go back into quantum entanglement and restructure it very rapidly, but that's way too long to put on a series here. So it is in the program Fully Awaken and Ascend. But you can do that. So you can start with going into, if you know the trigger point, you're going to go to that moment. This is really important, this piece here. We do not want to relive the memory. We do not want to go in and relive it and re-experience it. I forbid that with my clientele, because what you're doing is adding to the vibration of it, therefore expanding that shitty ass vibration through your vortex. This is why you will never, ever see me at a woman's circle. Never. Like, I'm not saying they're all like that, but the few I have experienced is a fucking pity party of like, here's my trauma, let me hold space for it, and breathing and crying. And it's so fucking weak to me. And I'm sorry, that's super offensive for a lot of people, but you're literally just enhancing the fucking vibration and sharing it. Like, you do not have to do that. Like, that's the hard way. That's gross to me. I'm not willing to expand negative vibration in anybody's vortex. Horseshit. Not doing it. So that's the love, light, unicorn fart piece. No way. Not doing it. I'm not reliving it. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to go into that memory the moment it surfaces, or you can choose to purposely go into that memory, but you're going to power yourself up first. So you're going to own your motherfucking power. You are going to charge yourself up as the protector that you are. You're going to go walking into that fucking memory, and you're going to pause everything except for that child, except for the version of yourself, whether it's 16-year-old you, 20-year-old you, whatever version. Walk in, pause the fucking everything around it, look at that person and be like, not happening anymore. I've got you. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to love you. And I'm going to demonstrate you. You're leaving with me. And you take them right out of that memory. So you just sit on your bed, close your fucking eyes, zone in, go into that space. If you want to, you can walk into that memory the minute before the trauma happens and tell off everything involved. Demonstrate being the warrior protector that you are to that past version of yourself. It's so powerful. So you're going to go in and you're going to do whatever you need to do. You're going to say whatever you need to say. You're going to look at the other version of yourself, be like, you want to add to this because you've got the microphone, babe, and I've got you. And then you're going to remove them. You're going to leave with them, whether that's walking through a door, getting in a car, driving, like however your imagination desires to do this, there's no wrong way. You're going to take them. And you're going to be like, you're with me now. And then you're going to imagine, because your ego self does not know the difference between said reality or memory or imagination. It doesn't know. So it's going to function and create a vibration based on what it is playing with, what it is focused on. So if you're focused on that version with you here and now, and you are protecting them, and you are showing them a life, and you are nurturing them, and you are letting them move through the emotion, whether that's anger, whether that's crying, whether it's numb, if they need to trauma response and go listen to music or have a nap or whatever, that's what they're going to do. And you're going to allow it, and you're going to normalize it, and you're going to give them permission, and you're going to continuously demonstrate to them for however long it takes. If it's an hour or a week or a month, it doesn't matter. You're going to do it until you know it feels better. And you're just going to spend time with them. And you're going to take care of them. You're going to cook for them. You're going to love them. You're going to honor them. You're going to take them everywhere you go. You're going to chat with them. You're going to create connection with that version of yourself. And you're going to teach them that they are safe and that they are powerful and they are loved and they are nurtured and they are heard. And that is over. It's never going to happen again. And the moment that you claim that, it's over, it's never going to happen again. I've got you. This is what's going to happen. It's going to be nurturing. You are going to energetically create a vibrational vortex that is so loving and nurturing that it's going to penetrate deep into your cellular structure and start to recalibrate the vibration of the trauma and move it into a higher vibration. Therefore, your reality If your vibration creates your perception, which creates your outcome starts to shift drastically, permanently, if you allow it and you stay there. You stay in the knowing, it's over. This is it moving forward. So that's a big piece of it. Now, if we don't know and we have suppressed memories, which is so common, that's a different story. So the suppressed memories are suppressed for a reason. It was too much. And I have so many clients, and Sarah Rose is my elite mentor. She's just graduated and taking over my role with the company. She's phenomenal. Oh my God, I love her so much. So her program, working with her, she will go into your subconscious with you and identify what the belief is. So an example would be, I'll use the example that I always use with myself. I watched my birth parents have a very violent, loving relationship. They were children when they got together. They acted like siblings more than they did anything, but whatever. And then when I came along, their aggression and violence, because they didn't understand coping mechanisms and they weren't taught communication, they would explode. Physical violence, verbal violence, emotional terrorists, and they would harm each other. And then all of a sudden they would collide into passionate lovemaking and like run off to the bedroom. And okay. So my inner child's definition of love was the more it hurts, the greater it is. She had, and my ego self, my grown up self had a definition of love is all encompassing, it's nurturing, it's accepting, it's all of this. I knew here what I wanted love to be. So I was like, no, my definition of love is this. But my subconscious, my inner child piece, same thing, my emotional body believed really truly through the example that I was witness to that love, the more painful it was, that meant the more passionate it was, which meant the more intimate it was. And so, guess what happened to me as a young adult with my first marriage? You create it. You create your belief structure. You recreate it and live it based on your definition of love. So I would start to ask yourself if there's suppressed memory, that's okay. Sometimes they come up, sometimes they don't. Sarah Rose and I both are phenomenal at being like, within minutes too, we can be like, oh, there it is. Just through a conversation, it's like, oh, this is what's going on. Like, what's your definition? And then we'll dive into the inner child or into your past and be like, what did they learn? What were they witness to? This is what you're seeing. There it is. There's the root. And we transform it. We give you homework on how to transform that vibration and rewrite the definition and embody that definition. So it's really important to spend time either verbal journal, you can video journal yourself, you can write in a journal, or you can do what I do where I go for a long car ride alone and I talk it out. I imagine that one version of me is in the driver's, like I'm in the driver's seat, they're in the passenger seat, and I talk to them as I'm driving. And I'm like, okay, what example did you have? So you can look at like, where's there lack in your life? Because lack will denote to where there's suppressed trauma. Because again, your isness, your soul, isness wants to experience itself in the physical, and the isness, the consciousness that you are, is the highest vibration of creation, is the highest vibration of love, of acceptance. It is powerful creator, it's unfiltered creator, unblocked creator, and it wants to experience that freedom in the physical. But because of society and because of where we're at in our evolutionary process, aka awakening process, we're still stupid, we're really dumb. And so we don't train the ego self, and it goes into survival mode and it tells all these stories. And then we're like, ooh. So we have a mix match of emotions. We've got this isness pouring through, and then we've got the ego in survival mode. So some of you will get like really, really good things and then you'll lose them. Like, I can make money and then it's gone, or I can find love, but then it falls apart, or I can get the dream job, but then the office isn't quite right, or the hours aren't quite right. Or like we get like a mix emotion, or we just get all horseshit if you're anything like I was, just total might as well be shitting on me. Like, just put a trough of shit landing on my face, because that is how my life felt until I navigated this whole process. The most important thing you can do, if you do nothing else, if you go in and heal your subconscious, you will change everything in your life. Everything. Remember, there's no such thing as manifesting. There's 12 governing principles of how energy works. The law of attraction is one of those governing principles. The law of vibration, the principle of vibration, you are receiving. Whatever's vibrating is what attraction is happening. So you are constantly creating your reality based on your vibration. You do not have to manifest. You do not have to try. You do not have to strive. The moment you go into that, you are in a survival energy of, I don't have, I need to create. And therefore, you're actually pushing it away instead of allowing it in. So when you heal your subconscious, you let the isness become your predominant vibration, and attraction happens to that high vibration. You start to receive desire. You start to intentionally create your reality. But you can't do that if your subconscious believes that love's fucked up. You can't do that if your subconscious thinks that you're just a piece of shit and no one loves you. You can't do it. You have to heal that subconscious space. And that's what our elite mentoring program is. It's also what divine alignment is. Sarah Rose just has way more experience than the other. She's been with me a really long time. It's awesome. Anyways, so hopefully that is helpful for you. That's how I navigated my journey. It's what we do here. And we watch people drastically transform, like they transmute their own vibration, their own belief structure, which then creates a different reality, a whole new reality. And you absolutely can. If you can conceive it within your mind, you will receive it if you allow yourself to discover what wants to be transmuted within your subconscious. That's where it all originates. Everything is an inside job. Everything. There is no outside source. There is no universe. There is no God. There is no anything that's got a magic fucking wand that's like, oh, here you go. Doesn't work like that. It's you. It's always you. It's always what's happening inside is radiating out, and attraction is happening to that. It's always a you thing. So figure out what's going on with your subconscious. Look at where there's lack in your life and be like, okay, what's my definition of these things? Is there lack of love? What's my definition of love? Is there lack of money? What's my definition of money? Is there lack of time? What's my definition of freedom? And then choose what you want it to be and dive in and make that happen. All right. I will be live this Thursday. So today is January 30th. This is the Ascension Series. I will be live on Thursday around, I think it's 2 p.m. Eastern time. So stay tuned for that. I'll be live on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. And there is a new series that I just started. I had this amazing psychic phenomenon the other day. And I've been, uh, uh, it was so beautiful. That inspired me to start a different series where I'm a lot less of an asshole. So it's not love and light, but it's my passion. It's my journey towards freedom and all the advice that I have for my past self. So I'm just sharing my personal journey of evolution and what allowed me to arrive here. So it's a really loving series, whereas this one's a little bit more like, get it done. It's a you thing. And also, oh my goodness, thank you for all of the love on our new series, Recovering Toxic. So, Recovering Toxic is a brand new company that we launched just at the end of 2023, geared towards Gen Z, but we got a whole lot of like millennials jumping on and loving it as well. So, there's a beautiful series out, lots of amazing conversations with people who have recovered their own toxic. So, a lot of good tips in there. So thank you for all of the love that you've been pouring and all of the things that we do. We would not be here without you. And it's an honor to be of service. So I want you to go look in the mirror, find a million reasons to say thank you. I love you. And I will catch you next week, guys. Bye.